Never in my life did I think I'd end up here, turning to strangers on the internet for advice. But here we are. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, married for 8. We met in college. We were each other's first and only. I genuinely believe that made our relationship something rare and beautiful. Turns out, I was the only one who thought so. A while ago, my wife started working at a new company. At first, she struggled to fit in. She's always been more reserved. I encouraged her to put herself out there, and eventually she became friends with a group of women. Some were single, some divorced, some dating around. None were married. I was happy she'd found friends. But then she started going out for drinks, partying, whatever they had planned. I became worried about how much she was changing. I tried to talk to her about it, but I also didn't want to come across as controlling. It started affecting our intimacy. She was never the one to initiate, but now she was either too tired or simply not in the mood. Then her company hired a new manager. My wife and her friends all seemed to take a liking to him. At first, she'd mention him in passing. Eventually, she started pointing out how he handled certain issues, things that clearly weren't work-related. I asked her why she was so fascinated with him. She brushed it off. Then she started asking if I regretted not being with more women before her. I told her no, she was all I ever needed. I swear, for a second, I thought I saw something sad flash across her face. But she changed the subject. Not long after, she brought up open marriages. Said it could spice things up. I was stunned. My wife had never been that kind of person, never been that sexually open. I refused at first and asked if this had anything to do with the new manager. She denied it. But she said she felt like she'd missed out on experiences and that she didn't want to lose me, so this felt like a safer option. I thought she was playing with fire. But reluctantly, naively, I agreed. We set ground rules. Mainly, no sleeping with someone else in our home. So for a year, my wife went on dates, had one-night stands. And then, as if I didn't see it coming, she ended up in some kind of relationship with that manager. I went on a few dates too. No one-night stands. It just never felt right. She'd ask if I was okay, but nothing changed. Eventually, I realized the love I had for her, the pure, innocent kind you only get in marriage, was gone. It was killing me. Then I went on a date with an incredible woman. She had emigrated from South Korea. Conversation came easily. She was sharp, quick-witted, and her smile could make a man forget himself entirely. That first date led to more. Eventually, we became intimate. I'd never had sex like that. I didn't know a woman could be so giving or make someone feel so desired. At first, my wife thought it was cute. But as months passed, she started questioning my relationship with this woman. I reminded her that this was her idea and that she was literally in a relationship with her manager. She went silent. She looked like she wanted to say something but didn't. She started coming home early, surprising me with dinner, cleaning the house obsessively, showing up at my office with lunch, initiating intimacy. Honestly, if not for the fact that she was the one who opened our marriage and I was complicit in agreeing to it, this shift would have made me overjoyed. Instead, I barely reciprocated. When I did, it felt like going through the motions. Something in me toward my wife had died, and I could tell she felt it too. I asked her what prompted the change. Her answer, she wanted to show me she loved me and was happy with me. I didn't mean to, but I burst out laughing. "What about your friends, your manager, your one-night stands?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just went to bed in tears. The next day, I came home and she was waiting for me. She said she wanted to close the marriage, that the whole experience was a horrible mistake, that she regretted everything, that she wanted us to be the focus again. I told her to be honest, what really started all this. And wouldn't you know it, her friends? They planted the idea, sharing stories of their own sexual exploits. And when the manager came into the picture, he supported that lifestyle and encouraged her to live free. Apparently, it started as an emotional affair. It only became physical once the marriage was open. Wow. That makes it better. She described it as being drunk behind the wheel of a speeding car, thrilling, intoxicating, but the cost had become unbearable. She sees now that she never needed a comparison, that what we had was truly unique and special, but now she feels like she murdered our marriage and any future we could have had. I told her I may never be able to see her as my wife again. She completely broke down. I just held her in silence while she cried until she fell asleep in my arms on the couch. She's since left her job, cut off contact with all her friends and the manager. She told me she's willing to spend the rest of her life making it up to me, to work herself to the bone just to be seen as my wife again. But I haven't cut contact with my lover. Because the truth is, my lover makes me feel like a man, like I can take on the world. My wife hasn't made me feel that way in a long time. I don't know what to do. I wish I could get that special feeling back, if it's even possible. But my lover saved me when I was at my lowest. Please, help me. Forgot to add, we have our first marriage counseling session in a few hours. Not sure how it'll go. The therapist seemed nice, experienced, unbiased, actually eager to help. Even though it was our very first session, my wife laid everything out. She confessed that her friends made her wonder if she'd missed out, having only ever been with her first boyfriend, never having the adventures these supposedly amazing women had. Some of whom are divorced, I'll add. None are married. The therapist noted that this kind of dynamic can be, and often is, detrimental to a marriage because of the difference in mindset. My wife seemed to agree. Then she added that when the new manager started showing interest, some of her friends encouraged her to see where it goes. That this was her chance to explore, to discover herself. She said she felt guilty. So she never did anything physical with him until one of the divorced friends suggested an open marriage as a loophole, claiming some couples come out stronger because of it. So, regrettably, she convinced me to open the marriage, and her so-called adventure began. Intoxicating, blinding, but it lacked substance, nothing like what we had built over the years. She started questioning her own reasons. She said she could see the hurt in my eyes, but told herself it was part of the adventure. She said she'll never forgive herself, that the gravity of it all didn't hit her until she noticed the change in me. At first, she thought I'd just go on a few dates and eventually accept her situation. But then my lover became a constant presence in my life. I started smiling again for no reason. My eyes would light up when I got a text. I'd cheerfully leave the room to answer a call. She said she suddenly felt a pit in her stomach. Panic attacks out of nowhere. She went back to her friends for advice. They told her it was a normal reaction. But then the same divorced friend who suggested the open marriage said, "It looks like his lover makes him happy." That's when reality finally hit her. The realization that another woman, not his wife, was bringing him joy almost made her pass out. She realized how ridiculous it all was. She begged them to help her win me back. They responded, "If you couldn't deal with it, why'd you open the marriage in the first place?" In that moment, she knew. These people were toxic, a threat to our marriage and the life we'd built. So she's been on a mission ever since, trying to win me back by any means necessary. I, on the other hand, didn't share much. But I did tell the counselor that my lover was still in the picture. The counselor said no resolution could be reached while that was the case, and suggested we book another appointment. She also said it was unusual for someone to stay with their first partner for this long, and gave the impression that any storm can be weathered. I get the sense she wants us to be one of her success stories. Sorry this is long. Figured I might as well give a full update. Part 2. Still haven't figured out how to link posts. And a very warm thank you to everyone who reached out. I'm sorry I haven't been able to reply to each of you, whether by inbox or on the post. Anyway, here's the update so far. Again, thank you for all your support. This has quite literally been an episode of Jerry Springer. I've since moved into an apartment owned by my brother for a ridiculously cheap price. He owns multiple properties and would have let me stay for free, but I refused. Here's some of what I've uncovered about my wife's behavior, and some unsettling things about her manager. During our second counseling session, I asked some of the questions Redditors suggested. 1. Was she sure nothing physical happened before the marriage was opened? She looked at the floor and begged me not to make her say it. She said if she said it out loud, it would destroy us. After some pushing, she admitted it wasn't physical, but they touched themselves in front of each other. That douchebag convinced her that since it wasn't physical, sort of, it wasn't technically cheating, that they were just enjoying each other's full beauty. I was absolutely floored. She started shaking, hyperventilating. Snot ran from her nose as she sobbed and apologized to me. Even the counselor looked taken aback, disbelief on her face. My wife dropped to her knees and hugged my legs, repeating how sorry she was. 2. I asked what really changed her view of him. She said after she started pulling away from the group, his behavior toward her shifted. Then, one evening, after a meeting, she passed his office and overheard him talking to another male colleague. He said he was surprised at how easy it was to get her, that she was living proof you can't trust the quiet ones. When the colleague asked if he actually fancied her, he said she was a pleasant distraction and that he had zero intention of leaving his fiancée. He just needed to get it out of his system because the only woman who ever truly understood him was his fiancée. He even said he felt bad for me, but you snooze, you lose. My wife realized she was nothing more than a piece of meat to him. She'd betrayed me for a cheap thrill. In that moment, she said, she felt suicidal. She left her workplace and vomited in the parking lot. Her first thoughts were, "What have I done?" And, "My name, please forgive me. I'm so sorry." 3. I asked if she loved him, and when she stopped loving me. She looked me dead in the eye through tears and said she never stopped loving me, which honestly makes it worse. She said he was just something different. She thought it was love, but now sees how foolish she was. She squeezed my arm with surprising strength and said she knows she messed up, but she misses us. The connection we had before all this. She even suggested we move away, start fresh, just the two of us, the way it was always meant to be. I told her that wouldn't be fair to my lover and that I needed time away from her to process everything. She completely melted down, sobbing harder, saying incoherent things, clinging to me like I was about to disappear. It took both me and the counselor to calm her down. The counselor managed to convince her that maybe time apart could help us heal. I wish I could end the update there. But when we got home, I started packing. My wife received a video call on her laptop. It was one of her former friends in tears. Turns out, after my wife resigned, this friend and the manager started their own fling. She had a pregnancy scare. He turned into an absolute monster. Worse, she had a boyfriend, someone she could actually see a future with. She said the only reason she got involved with the manager was curiosity. Funny how that keeps coming up. Her boyfriend found out after discovering an email between them discussing the pregnancy. The manager accused her of trying to baby trap him. Her boyfriend left her. She reached out to my wife because she thought she'd managed to save her marriage and was desperate for advice. I just turned and walked out. I've been staying at the apartment ever since. Part 3. My wife's behavior and how it's changed us. Some things have happened, and I've come to a decision moving forward. First, thank you to everyone who reached out with helpful advice, shared similar life stories, or just offered a place for me to vent. It truly means a lot. Quite a bit has happened. The former friend with the pregnancy scare? She really was pregnant. The stress of losing her boyfriend and the humiliation of the affair caused her to miscarry. She went ballistic, went full scorched earth on the manager, exposed him to upper management, and to his fiancée. I was curious and found the fiancée on Facebook. She's basically the poster child of the sweet, small-town girl, special needs teacher, homebody, very family-oriented. My first thought, what the hell is he doing messing around with other women when he has her at home? Honestly, why men like him end up with women like her is one of the greatest mysteries of life. The former friend actually contacted me. She wanted my side of the story. She was gathering evidence against him. She insisted on meeting in person. We both already had COVID tests. I agreed. The moment I saw her face, I could tell she was broken. Dark circles under her eyes. Her irises red-rimmed. She clearly hadn't slept, haunted by her own thoughts. She thanked me for agreeing to meet and immediately apologized for her role in my wife's adventure. She and my wife had spoken again. That's when she found out I'd moved out. She didn't shift blame. She wanted to take responsibility. That's why she insisted on meeting in person. I thanked her for her efforts, but asked why she'd go this far. She said losing both a child and the love of her life changed her at the core. She can hardly look in the mirror without disgust. She can barely sleep because all she sees is her ex's face the day he found out. This woman clearly hates herself. I think meeting with me was a form of punishment. She told me that because fraternizing among coworkers is a breach of conduct, and especially because he was in a position of influence, he'd likely be fired, possibly blacklisted from the industry altogether. She accepted the same might happen to her. She left after getting my side of the story and apologized again. I needed to grab a few things from the old house. I picked a time when I thought my wife wouldn't be there. She was. What surprised me, she had most of our wedding photos laid out on the coffee table, others too. She was just staring at them. When she saw me, she was crying. She tried to hug me. I gently pushed her aside. She offered to make lunch. I told her I wasn't hungry, that I wouldn't be long, just needed a few things. Before I could leave, she said she had something to show me. She pulled out her phone and showed me a message she'd received 2 days ago from her former manager, berating her. It came from a new number. She'd blocked his old one. Apparently, my wife had helped her former friend expose him to all relevant parties. He was furious. She said she got the idea from Chump Lady and Marriage Builders. She thought that by exposing the secret, she was stripping it of its power and giving us a fighting chance. I told her I was glad she had the courage to do that. But it doesn't change anything between us. I also told her I'd be stopping marriage counseling, but I'd continue with individual counseling. She started sobbing softly, said she understood. I know I'm supposed to feel something elation that she's finally taking action, or rage that it took her this long. Instead, I feel numb toward her. That's not normal. That's why I want to work on it in individual counseling, not marriage counseling. At my brother's recommendation, I've also seen a divorce lawyer, just to be safe. As of now, I'm not willing to fight for this marriage, and I think she can sense it. Before I left, she tried to initiate intimacy. I refused. She raised her voice and asked, "What does your lover do for me that I can't? What does she give you that I can't?" Her voice was so loud I'm sure the neighbors heard. She said whatever it was I wanted, she'd do it. I shook my head. I told her if she still couldn't see it after everything that's happened, then the writing is on the wall. I left. Damn, OP. Your wife is finally seeing the consequences of her actions. The sad truth is, she'd do anything to go back and undo her choices. But that's not how life works. Maybe she'll figure herself out. Maybe she'll become a better partner. But it probably won't be with you. She already burned this life down. The one thing you can be sure of. She'll always remember you. And she'll always regret what she did. That's more than a lot of us ever get.